Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Thought I would do a little, little fireside chat. Without a fireside, I'm in the car. I just got back from the gym, so pardon the attire. I had a thought as I was pulling into my driveway about music, and I think in the last video, I want to say I talked about being vulnerable in songwriting and how important that is, and I guess this kind of piggybacks on that. Um, I was just sort of thinking about the way music is, past, God, it's been happening for a while. Honestly, since even before streaming, it started, I guess, with MP3s, but it's only ramped up with streaming. How it's just, I think it's perceived as a less valuable commodity to a lot of people, which I think is sad, but I think it's sort of the reality we live in, right? Like for the longest time, music as an art form was the one that I think a lot of us felt was sort of untouchable I guess as a product, right? A lot of other forms of art were valued less over time, which I also think is unfortunate. But I guess in my mind and in the minds of so many people, not just musicians, but people that enjoy music, music was sort of this untouchable form of art that would always be, not necessarily lucrative, but would always be a way to make a living if you're solid at it and if you connect with enough people. And I think because of streaming, Spotify in particular, but streaming in general, and just the way music is being made and the way people entertain themselves, a lot of people don't go out like they used to see live music. Though, people still do. It's shifted quite a bit. I think music is, it's definitely, it's not perceived the same way it used to, which I think is unfortunate. But rather than focusing on that, I guess I kind of want to talk about the thought I had about the emotional content of music and performances. And I think in times like this, if you're a musician, and let's say even if maybe your goal isn't to make a living off music, but to at least reach more people with it, I think I think something that a person should bear in mind, or the musician should bear in mind, is are they really trying to connect with people? When they're performing, when they're even when they're writing. But and if the answer is no, that might be somewhere to start, or a bare minimum. And I think this applies more to me. Maybe your goal isn't necessarily to just connect with others, but to connect with yourself, right? And I think if you're really honest about your music and your songwriting, and you go about it that way, like you're really connecting to your own emotions, then connecting with other people, I think, is sort of a byproduct of that, right? So, in my case, if I'm writing a song, I don't necessarily go into it for other people to hear it. I generally, that's not why I write it, right? I'm writing it for me. It's like, if it's, in some cases, the song might be something very deeply introspective, in my mind, in my heart, and in other cases it might be more observational or purely creative, like storytelling. I like to do that a lot too. But in each case, I have to feel it, right? I have to really connect with the song or the story in a way that it makes me, it has to elicit emotion for me. And if it elicits emotion for me, there's a good chance it will for at least somebody out there. Maybe not the same reach I would hope for, or maybe you would expect in the past, but it could be one person, you know. And I think if you go about anything creative in a pure way, in an honest way, and you're really doing it even just selfishly for you as a way to get something out. Maybe you're a pressure cooker for whatever reason, whatever repressed emotion, maybe it's trauma. Um, and music is an outlet for you to get that out of your system and to really take the lid off. Then it's going to be pure, and there's a very good chance that someone, at one of your shows, or even just listening to you, if you can get enough of a reach online, which is hard now, but there's a good chance someone's going to hear it, and it's going to make them feel something. I that's probably those are the moments I think that mean the most to me if I'm playing or performing somewhere. Maybe it's at a gig, or even an open mic, and maybe I play one of my songs and someone comes up to me and says it really meant something to them, and that's been happening to me more lately. And I think that's just that's what it's all about. That's where that connection to other people comes into play, even if you weren't writing that song with that intent. Um, one one song I have, it really touches on PTSD, especially for combat vets, not in a very overt way. But someone in the audience at one of the shows I played in Everett came up to me afterward, and she was I'd say she was probably boomer age, I think. Really sweet. She came up to me and she said that it really made her think of her friends that came back after Vietnam, and she was emotional, and we hugged, and it was one of those moments of connection that I think really make it. I don't want to say just make it worth it, but that really made me feel like, hey, this is, yeah, it's fuel to keep doing it. Or another one. Actually, it was at the same venue, but a different show I played. I sang a line in one of my songs, and the husband was with his wife, and he looked over to her and just kind of like held her hand, and I could tell he connected to it, and that meant a lot to me too, So back, I guess, to the point, emotional content. I know I went on a rant like I always do, but if you're pure in your songwriting, even though it is harder to reach people these days with music as it might have been in the past, if you're pure in your songwriting and you're honest and you're doing it with honesty, I think the likelihood of you connecting to other people is much higher than if you're going into it like maybe you're just trying to. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can make some cheap track that is just bubblegum. I mean, that's what a lot of pop music is. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, and sorry if that offends some, but we know that for a lot of modern contemporary pop music, it's a product, right? It's a corporate product that's peddled to the masses. It's addictive, and it's like candy, right? And people eat it up, and that's how it is. If that's your goal, then I'm probably not the person to listen to. But if your goal is honesty and even if it's raw, I think it's going to be more meaningful, even if you only connect with a handful of people, than if you just connect with a bunch of people that are, just listening. Maybe they're listening to the tunes. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with listening to music if you don't want to have to think about things, and just sort of tune out. I get that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about maybe writing music that just comes from your soul, and perhaps there's someone out there that it resonates with, and even if it's only a handful of people, that can mean more than just getting it out to a bunch of people strictly because you're just trying to make money. So I don't know. I went on a really long rant here already. I think I was planning a 3-minute video. We'll talk about emotional content in music, but yeah, you get me started on that, and I could go on forever. And anyone that knows me personally knows I am the king of rants, and I'm long-winded, and I don't tend to summarize things effectively. I tend to just go, and buddy of mine calls me All Day Ray. Shout out Eric, and I think that's fitting. So anyway, yeah, happy Wednesday to you all, and if you got something out of this, cool. Yeah, I'll talk to you all later.